So, okay, you can start now. So over the past 2 years, Palladium, which is the private sector organization that I work for, has worked systematically to integrate DDD principles into our people, our programs, and our processes. Before then, we had a portfolio that included a number of programs that were politically smart, locally led, and adaptive, but these programs operated in isolation. Their success was more the result of committed and highly effective teams and individuals, and serendipity than it was the result of a deeper corporate ethos or capacity. Since 2014, however, we've taken a number of steps to integrate DDD principles into what we do and how we do it, to give our people and projects the resources and systems and support they need to be more politically informed, locally led, responsive, and adaptive. And I should add, we're definitely not alone in this. Other actors and private sector actors in this room and elsewhere are working to deliver development differently. So while I'm speaking from my experience and experience of one organization, I'm hopefully reflecting the progress made by others. And I've talked to others in preparation for this. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to briefly highlight some of the things that we and others are doing, examine some of the internal and external constraints we all face, and, as requested, set out what we think is a key lesson for us going forward. So first, what are some of the things that we've been doing? So integrating DDD principles into an organization like ours and into our projects and programs entails changes at least 4 levels. First of all, it entails changes to the enabling environment, changes to donor priorities, strategies, systems, so that we as implementers have the license, latitude, and crucially trust to work in ways that are more experimental, that are more iterative, and in many cases more risky. And we'll talk more about this later. Secondly, it entails changes to our own internal systems so that we can allocate financial and human resources more swiftly and responsively, so that we can make decisions quickly, and so that we can really empower our teams on the ground to just get on with doing it. In practice, this has entailed changes to lots of important but unsexy back office stuff. Changes to how technical assistance contracts are made, to how payment milestones are negotiated, to financial reporting is structured, how work plans are designed, and how program data and information is stored, shared, continuously updated, and analyzed. Third, this change entails embedding and in some cases developing a new repertoire of frameworks, tools, and techniques to diagnose problems, to analyze contexts, to theorize about change, and to monitor and to learn. In our newer programs in Nepal, Tanzania, and Kyrgyzstan, for instance, we've developed an approach that uses a range of mini malleable theories of change that are piloted and refined on a rolling basis. This approach makes it possible for us to identify what Brian Levy might call our first, second, and even third best bets for how we might support a particular change process. Rather than committing resources to these initiatives up front, significant investment is only made once there is traction. In the tricky environment of Nepal, for instance, the pilot of this approach has already helped us to kickstart a number of stalled economic reform processes in conjunction with Parliament, the Ministry of Finance, federations of trade and industry, and crucially, labor unions. And last but not least, embedding DDD entails changes to our teams and to our people. We've realized that no matter how good our diagnostic frameworks, our M&E tools, and our back office systems are, DDD fundamentally depends on our people and their ability to work in locally led, iterative, and collaborative ways. Some of this can be learned, but some of it cannot. These skills and competencies are the special sauce of DDD. But as we've learned from sometimes painful experience, team leaders and other key staff that already possess this special sauce are scarce. So we're starting to be more systematic about how we recruit for DDD characteristics and provide training and mentoring to the people that we already have. Building on our experience of our Savvy program in Nigeria, we've started to use recruitment criteria that emphasize not just technical expertise, but analytical potential, networking and collaborative competency, and entrepreneurial zeal. In many cases, This process is leading us to recruit more youthful and more locally based staff than in the past. I've also been asked to highlight one key lesson from actually doing development differently, and I would say this focus on people and teams is that key lesson. So all of this is very much a work in progress. We're a big organization with lots of competing priorities, limited resources, and we have to demonstrate value to money both to our leaders and to our clients. But some of our teams and programs are still struggling to make this change. And as Lenny points out, DDD ain't easy. It's very hard work. But we are making progress, and the initial changes we're taking are making it easier for us to consistently be locally led, politically informed, and adaptive in our work. So let's go back to the bigger picture, to the external opportunities and particularly the constraints that shape our ability for organizations to do development differently. Overall, there are some significant openings, but also some strong tensions and headwinds. First, the opportunities. One of the most noticeable differences from when we met 2 years ago is that we no longer have to make a case for DDD. Most of the strategies and program documents that come out from DFID, USAID, and DFAT that I see highlight the importance of context, the need for local leadership, and especially the need for adaptive and flexible programming. So in some ways, the intellectual case for DDD has been won. But scratch below the surface, and there's a great deal of uncertainty about what this means in practice and how to deliver it. And this is true for programs on the ground as well. But more importantly, if there are a number of significant tensions and contradictions we face as we try to do development differently, through donor-funded programs in particular, but more broadly. Some of these have intensified in the past 2 years, and some have even intensified in the past few weeks and days. These include the tensions between donor demands for simplicity, certainty, and surety when DDD approaches are all about complexity, uncertainty, and possibility. Second, tensions between rules and procedures aimed at enhancing flexible and adaptive programming and donor domestic political concerns. That is, do DFID's SMART rules get canceled out by the Daily Mail test? The tensions between calls for aid in the national interest and key DDD principles around working in support of locally owned and locally led development processes. The tensions between the need to invest in high-caliber human resources and increased emphasis on keeping technical assistance levels and overheads low. And lastly, the tension between the need for DDD-style programs to take calculated risks and potentially fail, and the reduced donor appetite for risk and increased focus on downside rather than upside risk. So I hope we can explore some of these tensions in more depth throughout today's discussions. Thank you.